Okay. Good afternoon. The September 6, 2021 meeting of the Tennessee State University Board of Trustees is now called to order. I am honored to serve as your next board chair, and I look forward to leading the board through my term and working with Dr. Glover and all the committee members. But before I get started, I want to welcome Dr. William Johnson to the board as the new faculty trustee. Dr. Johnson is professor in the Department of Human Performance and Sport Science and also serves as the director of HCA Scholars Program and the director of the HPSS Graduate Program. We welcome you to the board, Dr. Johnson, and look forward to working with you, including your service as a member of the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee, which he was very active in those today. So we do thank you. I would also like to thank the foundation for its efforts as it relates to Tennessee State University and say that I continue to look forward to working with Dr. Glover, Chairman Otis, and the members of the foundation and our board of trustees. Bishop Walker, I want to thank you for your leadership that you provided as our inaugural chair of the board of trustees, and also for allowing me to serve as your vice chair. Something happened. Okay, so I do know that I do have some big shoes to follow, Dr. Walker, but thank you so very much.
Thank you
for that. Okay. And lastly, I just want to say that our former board member, Mr. Bill Freeman, who was appointed to chair the Airport Board of Authority. And I think we should send a special thanks out to our mayor because he did appoint our very own Dr. Glover to serve as a member of the Airport Authority. That is a dynamic appointment. There's a lot of economic engineering that comes out of that and things that affect the city as a whole economically. And it is just awesome to have a female and especially a businesswoman in the capacity of Dr. Glover to serve on that committee. So join me in congratulating Dr. Glover on that particular appointment. Okay.
Thank you.
I promise I'll get to the meeting now. We also need to make certain findings on the record regarding the necessity for conducting this meeting by electronic participation without a physical quorum present due to the coronavirus pandemic. Findings for the necessity for conducting the board meeting without the physical presence of a quorum in accordance with the Tennessee Code annotated section 84108B2. As chair of the board of trustees, I offer the following facts and circumstances in support of a finding of necessity for the board of trustees to conduct the September 16, 2021 meeting without the physical presence of a quorum. The board is scheduled to take up important business matters which require timely action by the board, including but not limited to the approval of the academic program modifications and new academic programs. The board will also hear important reports on student housing, research funding, CARES Act funding, COVID-19 related issues affecting the students, and reports from the president and board chair. Participation by electronic means is necessitated by ongoing health and safety issues pertaining to the COVID-19 pandemic. Electronic participation for the committee meeting is necessary to ensure the safety of the board members, staff, and guests, while the institution implements additional measures to resume its in-person operations. Accordingly, I move that the board find that the participation by a quorum of the board members by the electronic means of communication is necessary. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. The question is on the motion to find a participation by the quorum of the board members by electronic means of communication is necessary. Secretary Thompson, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Yes.
Trustee Corbell,
Aye.
Trustee William Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Martin,
Aye.
Trustee Pinnock,
Aye.
Trustee Walker.
Aye.
Okay. The motion carries. We will proceed with the meeting with a quorum president. As you will note in your board materials for today's board meeting, in today's board meeting, we have several items on the agenda today. The next item listed in your agenda is the roll call declaration of a quorum. At this time, we need to call the roll. Secretary Thompson, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Here.
Trustee Corbell,
Here.
Trustee Johnson,
Here.
Trustee Martin,
Here.
Trustee Pinnick,
Present.
Trustee Walker,
Present.
and Trustee Thomas.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. If you cannot hear or speak to the other board members, please state so now. For each board member participating electronically, please identify any individuals who are present in the location of which you are participating. Okay. The first action item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the June 17th, 2021 board meeting. You have in your September 16th, 2021 board material the minutes from the June 17th, 2021 board meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the June 17th, 2021 board meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the minutes of the June 17th, 2021 board meeting as contained in the board material for our September 16th, 2021 board meeting. Secretary of Council, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Yes.
Trustee Corbill,
Aye.
Trustee William Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Martin,
Aye.
Trustee Pinnick,
Aye.
Trustee Walker.
Aye.
The motion is approved. The next action item on the agenda is the approval of the 2022 TSU Board of Trustees meeting calendar. You have in your September 16, 2021 board materials, the 2022 meeting calendar dates. I move to approve the 2022 TSU Board of Trustees meeting calendar dates as reflected in the board material for September 16, 2021 board meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the 2022 TSU Board of Trustees meeting calendar dates as reflected and contained in the board material for the September 16, 2021 board meeting. Secretary of Council, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Aye.
Trustee Corbill,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Martin,
Aye.
Trustee Pinnick,
Aye.
Trustee Walker.
Aye.
The motion is approved. The next item on the agenda is the Audit Committee report. As the Audit Committee Chair, I will report the actions and other items from today's Audit Committee meeting. The Audit Committee met today to act on one agenda item, receive reports on 2 items, and go into executive session to discuss items deemed confidential under state law. The Audit Committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the June 17, 2021 Audit Committee meeting minutes. In addition, the Audit Committee reviewed and discussed completed internal and external audit reports and reviewed outstanding audit issues. As I stated, the Audit Committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the minutes of the June 17, 2021 Audit Committee meeting. You have in your September 16, 2021 board material the minutes for the June 17, 2021 Audit Committee meeting. On behalf of the Audit Committee, I move to approve the minutes of the June 17, 2021 Audit Committee meeting as contained in the board material for September 16, 2021. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the minutes of the June 17, 2021 Audit Committee meetings as contained in your board material for September 16, 2021. Secretary of Council, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Aye.
Trustee Corbill,
Aye.
Trustee William Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Martin,
Aye.
Trustee Pinnick,
Aye.
Trustee Walker.
Aye.
The motion is approved. This includes the Audit Committee report. The next item on the agenda is the Finance and Budget Committee report. The chair recognizes the Finance and Budget Committee Vice Chair, Trustee Corbill, who will report the actions and information items from today's Finance and Budget Committee meetings.
Thank you, Chair Cole. The Finance and Budget Committee met today to act on 1 action item and receive reports on 5 additional items. The committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the June 17, 2021 Finance and Budget Committee minutes. Additionally, President Glover and her team provided reports on the university budget update, the construction and facilities update, CARES Act funding, finance and budget overall report, and then enrollment. As I just stated, the Finance and Budget Committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the minutes of the June 17th, 2021 Finance and Budget Committee meeting. You have in your September 16th board materials the minutes for the June 17th, 2021 Finance and Budget Committee meeting. On behalf of the Finance and Budget Committee, I move to approve the minutes of the June 17th, 2021 Finance and Budget Committee meeting as contained in the board materials for the September 16th, 2021 board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the minutes of the June 17th, 2021 Finance and Budget Committee meeting for the Finance and Budget Committee meeting as contained in the board material for the September 16th, 2021 board meeting. Secretary of Council, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Aye.
trustee Corbill,
Aye.
trustee Johnson,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Pinnick,
Aye.
trustee Walker.
Aye.
The motion is approved.
Chair Cole, this concludes my report.
Thanks, Trustee Corbell. I appreciate the work that you did for working with the committee today and the other members of the Finance and Budget Committee. The next item on the agenda is the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee report. The chair recognizes the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee Chair, Trustee Martin, to report out the actions and other items from today's Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee meeting.
Thank you, Chair Cole. The Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee met today to consider and vote on 8 agenda items and to receive reports on 5 other agenda items. The Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the June 17, 2021 Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee meeting minutes, approval of an academic program modification, a change to the PhD in biology admission standards, approval of an academic program modification, a change to the MS in professional schools counseling admission standards, approval of an academic program modification, an additional method of instructional delivery of the Master in Business Administration via online, approval of an academic program modification, an additional method of instructional delivery of the Master of Science in Agricultural Science via online. The committee also voted to recommend to the full board the approval of a new academic program, a graduate certificate in higher education administration leadership, the approval of a new academic program, a graduate certificate in public health, and the approval of an additional academic year tenure recommendation. Additionally, President Glover and her team provided reports on the SACS 10-year accreditation review, academic affairs, research funding and programs, student housing, and student affairs. As I stated earlier, the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the minutes of the June 17, 2021 Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee meeting as contained in board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting. On behalf of the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee, I move to approve the minutes of the June 17, 2021 Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee meeting minutes as contained in board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the minutes of the June 17, 2021 Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee meeting minutes as contained in the board material for the September 16, 2021 board meeting. Secretary Pendleton, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Aye.
trustee Corbill,
Aye.
trustee William Johnson,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Pinnick,
Aye.
trustee Walker.
Aye.
Okay, the motion is approved.
The Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee also voted to recommend to the full board the approval of an academic program modification, a change in the PhD in biology admission standards. Information pertaining to this agenda item is contained in board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting. On behalf of the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee, I move to approve an academic program modification, a change to the PhD in biology admission standards as contained in board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the academic program modification, a change to the PhD in biology admission standards as contained in the board materials for September 16, 2021 board meeting. Secretary Pendleton, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Aye.
trustee Corbill,
Aye.
trustee William Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Pinnick,
Aye.
trustee Walker.
Aye.
The motion is approved.
The Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee also voted to recommend to the full board the approval of an academic program modification, a change to the MS in Professional Schools Counseling Admission Standards. Information pertaining to this agenda item is contained in board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting. On behalf of the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee, I move to approve an academic program modification, a change to the MS in Professional Schools Counseling Admission Standards as contained in board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve an academic program modification, a change to the MS in Professional School Counseling Admission Standards as contained in the board material for the September 16, 2021 board meeting. Secretary Pendleton, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Aye.
trustee Corbill,
Aye.
trustee William Johnson,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Pinnick,
Aye.
trustee Walker.
Aye.
Okay, the motion is approved.
The Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee also voted to recommend to the full board the approval of an academic program modification, an additional method of instructional delivery of the Mastery in Business Administration via online. Information pertaining to this agenda item is contained in board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting. On behalf of the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee, I move to approve an academic program modification, an additional method of instructional delivery of the Master in Business Administration via online as contained in board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve an academic program modification, an additional method of instructional delivery for the Masters in Business Administration via online, as contained in the board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting. Secretary Pendleton, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Aye.
trustee Corbill,
Aye.
trustee William Johnson,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Pinnick,
Aye.
trustee Walker.
Aye.
The motion is approved.
The Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee also voted to recommend to the full board the approval of an academic program modification, an additional method of instructional delivery of the Master of Science in Agricultural Science via online. Information pertaining to this agenda item is contained in board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting. On behalf of the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee, I move to approve an academic program modification, an additional method of instructional delivery of the Master of Science in Agricultural Science via online as contained in board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve an academic program modification, an additional method of instructional delivery for Master of Science in Agricultural Science via online as contained in the board materials for September 16, 2021 meeting. Secretary Pendleton, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Aye.
trustee Corbell,
Aye.
trustee Johnson,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Pinnick,
Aye.
trustee Walker.
Aye.
The motion is approved.
The Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee also voted to recommend to the full board the approval of a new academic program, a graduate certificate in higher education administration leadership. Information pertaining to this agenda item is contained in board materials for the September 16th, 2021 board meeting. On behalf of the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee, I move to approve a new academic program, a graduate certificate in higher education administration leadership as contained in board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve a new academic program, a graduate certificate in higher education administration leadership as contained in the board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting. Secretary Pendleton, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Aye.
trustee Corbell,
Aye.
trustee William Johnson,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Pinnick,
Aye.
trustee Walker.
Aye.
The motion is approved.
The Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee also voted to recommend to the full board the approval of a new academic program, a graduate certificate in public health. Information pertaining to this agenda item is contained in board materials for your September 16, 2021 board meeting. On behalf of the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee, I move to approve a new academic program, a graduate certificate in public health as contained in board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve a new academic program, a graduate certificate in public health as contained in the board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting. Secretary Pendleton, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Aye.
trustee Corbell,
Aye.
trustee William Johnson,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Pinnick,
Aye.
trustee Walker.
Aye.
The motion is approved.
The Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee also voted to recommend to the full board the approval of an additional academic year 2020-2021 tenure recommendations. Information pertaining to this agenda item is contained in board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting. On behalf of the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee, I move to approve the additional academic year 2020-2021 tenure recommendations as contained in board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the additional academic year 2020-2021 tenure recommendations contained in the board material for the September 16, 2021 board meeting. Secretary Pendleton, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Aye.
trustee Corbell,
Aye.
trustee William Johnson,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Pinnick,
Aye.
trustee Walker.
Aye.
The motion is approved.
Thank you, Chair Cole. That concludes the Academic Affairs and Student Affairs Committee report.
As you can see from this report that Trustee Martin presented, there's an awful lot of work that's done on the committee level, not just in this committee, but all of them, but especially in Trustee Martin's committee. And Trustee Martin, I appreciate the work that you do and the members of your committee.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the Executive Committee report. As the Chair of the Board and Chair of the Executive Committee, I will report the action and information from today's Executive Committee meeting. The Executive Committee met today to discuss and vote on specific committee agenda items. The committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the June 17, 2021 Executive Committee meeting minutes. The Executive Committee also heard reports on the President's annual performance review process and a report from Secretary Pendleton. As I stated, the Executive Committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the minutes of the June 17, 2021 Executive Committee meeting as contained in the board material for September 16, 2021 board meeting. On behalf of the Executive Committee, I move to approve the minutes of the June 17, 2021 Executive Committee meeting as contained in the board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the minutes of the June 17, 2021 Executive Committee meeting as contained in the board materials for the September 16, 2021 board meeting. Secretary Pendleton, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Aye.
trustee Corbill,
Aye.
trustee William Johnson,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Pinnick,
Aye.
trustee Walker.
Okay, the motion is approved. This concludes the Executive Committee report. The next item on the agenda is a report on student housing and research funding. The chair recognizes President Glover, who will provide information regarding the agenda item.
Thank you, Chair Cole. I'm going to call first on the student housing, Dean Stevenson. Dean Stevenson, who is Associate Vice President for Student Affairs.
Thank you, Madam President and Chair Cole and trustees. Wanted to share some information relative to our housing, in particular this semester, as we had a greater number than usual of students who requested on-campus housing. So over the past 5 years prior to the COVID year, our housing capacity has been right at about 105% over capacity. In this final year, we are at 112% over capacity. What's interesting about this year, we had a record number of first-time freshmen who needed housing, a little bit over 1,600 freshmen we have in this class. We also had to factor in some COVID protocols and procedures that were necessary to mitigate the spread on the campus. And finally, we had something that happened that we haven't seen before, and that was a late surge of students requesting housing. On August the 2nd, we closed off housing as we realized we were at capacity. We had a bed for everyone on that day. But between August the 2nd and the beginning of school, we had another 350 students that applied for housing very late. We added them to a wait list. So to just kind of see how we could still allow them to participate in on-campus learning and get housing, emergency housing in place. We did come up with a plan. Dr. Glover reached out to several business and community leaders, Chamber of Commerce, and we went through several things to create housing in a very quick space of 2 weeks. And we identified space. However, we could not assign those students until it was approved by the State Building Commission. We really appreciate the State Building Commission, who had an emergency meeting to approve this off-campus housing so that we could accommodate a lot of the out-of-state students. So how did we get here? Over the last 8 years, our students, unlike any of the other universities in the state, public universities in the state, we're in the hottest housing market here in Nashville. And so we realized about 8 years ago that our students were really struggling to live in the city. A lot of the students started moving back to campus, and juniors and seniors were not moving off campus. And so we noticed this trend. Of course, 5 years ago, we started the process for building our new residence hall, which will come online in August. We're very excited about a 700-bed state-of-the-art facility that's going to allow a lot of living, learning opportunities. And so we're excited about that. We don't expect to be in this space. We also have some other opportunities that we will be exploring. Starting this fall, for the first time in a long time, we will offer graduate housing. So we're excited about that. We will also offer year-long housing. We have a population of students that are considered homeless or do not have an appropriate situation to go back to. So we will offer year-round housing for those students. And so we are excited about the direction we're going. We are glad and happy that we were able to accommodate all of our students who needed housing this semester. And I appreciate our housing staff who have really leaned in to make sure that this is an amazing experience for our students. Thank you for this opportunity to share our housing report.
And Madam Chair, may I add a word, please?
Yes, please.
I want to just add to what Dean Stevenson has said. I want to thank how appreciative we are to the governor and the legislators and the State Building Commission for the manner in which they acted, this swift manner in which they acted upon this request. And it was not a scheduled building committee meeting, state building meeting, but they added us to the agenda and made sure they worked with us to get a lease sign, a long-term lease sign for this semester, long-term meeting for a whole semester with an outside agency off campus. And we were just really appreciative of that. So I did want the record to note that we did, the university, the cabinet, the faculty, staff, and students, how much we appreciated that effort.
Thank you.
And I want to ask if Dr. Francis Williams can do us a brief report on research funding.
Yes, thank you, President Glover, Chair Cole, and the other trustees. It is indeed my pleasure to provide an update about our research awards this past year to the full board. For fiscal year 2021, TSU faculty and staff were awarded a record $70.7 million in grants and contracts, which is a 28% increase over fiscal year 2020, the amount for that year. So we just look back over the past few years, just to talk in terms of a little history on our grantsmanship. For fiscal year 2020, that amount was $55.2 million. Our funding amounts for fiscal years 19, 18, and 17 were 47.9, 53.2 million, and 43.5 million respectively. So indeed, this has been a great year for TSU in terms of grant and contract awards. So these numbers, which we're proud of, illustrate the growth and progression of TSU as a research institution. Further, it demonstrates President Glover's efforts and commitment to scholarly achievement of our researchers. So I would like to commend our faculty and staff on this great accomplishment and thank them for their research productivity and dedication, even during the pandemic. I also thank the RSP staff for their efforts in supporting and assisting our investigators as well. In addition to our increased research awards during fiscal year 2021, our faculty and staff also submitted the highest number of proposals. So the awards that we did receive this year were quite diverse in terms of the research topics covered, and they represent awards given across all colleges on the campus. If we look at the source of awards by type, so for most were received from federal agencies, 71%, 26% were received from state agencies, 2% from private corporations and foundations, and other type institutions accounted for 1%. Our top funding agencies were the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Department of Education, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the National Science Foundation. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. That concludes it, Chair Cole.
I tell you, first, I'd like to say that I like challenges that are undergirded by very positive considerations, even though they become challenges. So to Dr. Glover and Dean Stevenson, I appreciate and applaud your efforts as we went from 105% over capacity to 112. Y'all did a great job, and your efforts are recognized. Also, I'd like to echo Dr. Glover's comments to the state. We sincerely appreciate all the efforts and tremendous assistance that was provided. And these reports have just been fantastic. And Dr. Williams, I say to you that we I want to make sure that everybody understood that was 70.7 million in those research. And that this is tremendous as we move on to a level one, as we look at our research. And this is, I mean, the programs that we have that have come online, the adjustments are made to them and more to come. Tennessee State is just on the move, and I really appreciate the efforts of everyone for everything that you do. Okay. The next item on the agenda, I'm sorry, did anyone else have any comments? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the President's report. Again, President Glover, congratulations on your appointment to the Airport Authority Board, which is a very significant board. The chair recognizes President Glover, who will provide a report on this agenda item.
Thank you, Chair Cole. I have a quick agenda. As you can see here, let's go to the next one. We're going to first go over the COVID-19, how we operate, the operating status. We're in person this fall. We did start classes the third week of August, the 16th. We will end by Thanksgiving, and commencement will be that Saturday after Thanksgiving. We're in person, we're online, and we're hybrid. We're still requiring a mask, the face coverings. Until the extent possible, we're holding many activities outside. As the Delta variant had become more prevalent, we moved a lot of activities outside. And we're still practicing social distancing and asking with stickers designated throughout the campus. For the students, we're having telecounseling services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we're still doing aggressive testing for our students. Anyone else who wants to be tested can just stop by and be tested. And we do temperature checks as individuals enter the campus. We still ask you to use a hand sanitizer and wash hands at all times. And the plexiglass glass, the desk on your desk have been installed in almost all the offices. We are strongly encouraging vaccinations. We do not have a vaccination mandate, but we are asking all employees and students to just make an effort, a concerted effort to get vaccinated. We have not, again, we do not have a vaccination mandate, but we are strongly encouraging vaccinations. We have set up vaccination sites on site for the first 4 weeks of school. We had set up on campus each day, but we still have vaccinations readily available. And we're appreciative of the Department of Health as well as Meharry who partnered with us. So it's almost 60% of the students have been vaccinated. We did have some incentives to encourage students to get vaccinated. We gave a $100 gift card to each of the students who could show proof that they had been fully vaccinated. And if they lived on campus, they received an additional $50 gift card, which helped to get our numbers up to where they are. As far as employees, we did give the same incentive for employees who could show proof of vaccination. And that was a $100 gift card to employees also. I turn now to the audit update. We have corrected all the deficiencies that were noted in the audit reports, and we're really proud of that. Getting all the deficiencies corrected. The main deficiency, the most significant one was pertaining to the financial statements and the bank reconciliations. Not be able to complete them in a timely manner. We've largely improved that and corrected that deficiency. Updated the financial processes, implemented proper training for university employees and for the foundation employees. Well, university and the foundation. We've made some more staffing changes. We've hired new individuals, including a new vice president of business and finance. We've had a controller for TSU accounting department and a controller for TSU foundation. We've had other director positions, other fundraising positions. We've had other accounting and financial positions. So the SACCLC update, as you know, we reported earlier the SACCLC visit in March, and we were found compliant with 72 of the 74 standards. The remaining 2 related to the audits, 13.2 and 13.4. We had not completed audits, so we could not be in compliance. As soon as the audits are completed, They'll be submitted to the SACCLC team, and then a follow-up report will be sent to them regarding 13.2 and 13.4, those two standards that be submitted by September 30th. Turn to recruitment and enrollment. Enrollment is up this year. First year enrollment is up. Returning students up, and not as high as we wanted it to be for returning students, but enrollment is up for both graduate and undergraduate students. We're waiting on the official report to come from THEC that we should be getting in a day, and we report that to you as soon as we get that report in from THEC. The number of returning students is still a challenge, but it increased over the prior year. We developed some retention plans that's going to assist us with our returning students to get that number up to where we think it should be. Another initiative that assisted us is the paying off prior student balances. We've begun that process of paying off the prior balances for returning students. They had to fall within the metric of those that met the CARES Act funding requirements, because the funds did come from the CARES Act. So enrollment's up a lot because of this. Students having their balances paid, and it helped us out a lot. So it does go to show that students will return, students will come back if they have the funds. So funding, we said we had a survey earlier, and the number one reason that students don't return is financing, is their funding. We've had that survey done more than once, and each time it's always the money. And the distant second is so far away from the funding being the main reason the students don't return. So hopefully with the funding that we're getting now, with the CARES Act funding, with increase in money that's being raised for institutional advancement and alumni contributions, that we'll be able to keep this going. I want to talk about the new facilities on campus. We're so pleased with the new health science building that opened on June 17th. We had a meeting in the building last night with the students and the student leaders. It was a very good meeting, and the students were quite pleased to be in that building. We also have 2 new residence halls. As we mentioned earlier, it's coming open in the fall of 2022 with 700 beds. I won't go into any more of that, but we will come back at a later date and walk you through, and once it is completed, we can do the walkthrough. The CARES Act funding, we continue to be good stewards of the CARES Act funding, which provided to all institutions. An additional amount went to HBCUs. So funds were used for student assistance, for student scholarships, for institutional needs, the PPE, technology upgrades, equipment, and several. We just used it in accordance with the regulations that were given to us. Next. I turn on to grants and research. I don't have to go over this anymore because we've already done the 70 million. But we will say to date, we've gotten 14.8 million just from the first part this semester. From July 1 until early one day this week, we have 14.8 million already collected and received. And that's 160 awards from last year, 45 for this year to date. TSU still is the top HBCU in receiving USDA funds. From NIFA, that is very significant to note. All our competitors and our competitive universities, HBCUs, we are #1 in receiving USDA funds through NIFA. And we rank in the top 5 HBCUs in our research funding. We think we're probably #1 or 2. But we're in the top 5. We remain in the top 5 over the last few years. That's a significant point we'd like to tell you about. And finally, land grant funds, out to TSU, we're still working through that. I've mentioned in earlier meetings that we did form a committee, was formed, the Joint Land Grant Institutions Funding Study Committee that was chaired by Representative Harold Love. And I'll skip down to the part that the report has been submitted from the Joint Land Grant Institutions Funding Study Committee was submitted by the group THEC, TSU, and the Commissioner of Finance. We met, identified some needs related to TSU's funding as we were asked to do. The report has been submitted. We're waiting to get some reaction to that. And the ultimate objective is to determine the amount of arrears owed to TSU. So we've submitted that, and we're now hoping that will be included, parts of it at least will be included in the budget for next year. So thank you very much. That is the president's report.
Well, thank you, Dr. Glover, for that tremendous report. At this point in time, we move on to the board chair's report. I would just like to, again, welcome Trustee Johnson as a member of the board. Want to welcome Mr. Allen as our new VP of Finance, Coach George, our new coach, and I'm sure there are other members that I did not call your name, but I want to welcome you to the Tennessee State University family, and I look forward to working with you. Dr. Glover and your management team, we've heard some tremendous accomplishments today. I am just elated about the research funding, the new programs that we have coming on board, the adjustments that we've made to existing programs that will allow us to be more competitive. The Levi Watkins Institute and the cooperation with Meharry Medical College. And I also want to, again, thank the foundation for its efforts relative to Tennessee State University. Is there any additional business? Okay. If there's no additional business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. I got that. We didn't have a call for that one, did I? Secretary Pendleton, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Aye.
Trustee Corbell,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Martin,
Aye.
Trustee Pinnick,
Aye.
Trustee Walker.
Aye.
The motion is approved and we are adjourned. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.